Jack it up.
Okay, so have you ever heard of a story where, like, a teenage girl
Oh, yeah.
ends up becoming, like, a military leader,
Yeah.
a national heroine, and even, like, a saint?
Sounds like a movie.
It does sound like something out of a movie, right?
Right.
Well, here on Sassy Scoop TV, we deep dive into these captivating stories, and today's is Joan of Arc.
I love this one.
It's incredible. I'm Alex, and with me is our expert guide,
Hey, everyone.
ready to unpack this extraordinary life.
Yeah, it's a story that just, like, captures your imagination, you know? And what's even more fascinating is how, like, Joan's own journey
Yeah,
intersects with this, like, pivotal period in European history, the 100 Years' War.
yeah. It's crazy how all these things come together.
It is.
So let's start, like, right at the beginning. We've
Good.
all heard the name Joan of Arc, but who was she before the legend?
Okay.
Paint us a picture of her early life.
So imagine, like, rural France in the 1400s.
Okay.
Domremy is this, like, small village that somehow stayed neutral amidst the chaos of the 100 Years' War. That's where Joan grows up.
That's wild.
It's wild. She's like a devout girl from a simple farming family, known for her piety, and maybe a bit more serious than, like, other kids her age.
Oh.
But around the age of 13, things take a really dramatic turn.
Okay, this is where
Yeah.
the story gets really interesting.
It does.
Visions. Right.
The visions, exactly. Joan starts having these visions and hearing voices.
Oh, wow.
And these aren't just any voices in her head. She identified them as, like,
Oh.
the Archangel Michael and Saints Margaret and Catherine.
Wow.
They spoke to her, guided her, and, like, ultimately delivered a life-altering message.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this is where I would probably freak out a little bit, to be honest.
I think most people would.
What did these voices tell her to do?
They told her that she had a mission, a divine purpose,
Okay.
to help the Dauphin, Charles VII, reclaim the French throne and drive out the English.
Whoa!
So think about that for a second.
That's a lot of pressure.
You're 13 years old and
Yeah.
suddenly you're tasked with saving your country.
I would probably hide under my bed.
Right.
But Joan was not your average teenager, clearly.
Clearly not.
So what was the situation in France that made her mission, like, so crucial?
Okay.
Why did France need saving in the first place?
So France was in a state of, like, total chaos at the time.
Oh, wow.
The 100 Years' War, as the name suggests, had been going on for decades,
Right.
ravaging the country.
Wow.
The English had won a major victory at Agincourt
Oh,
and had taken control of a large part of northern France.
so it's basically France versus England,
Yeah.
and France is not doing so well.
Not doing well. It was a time of just immense suffering, and things actually went from bad to worse with the deaths of both the English king, Henry V, and the French king, Charles VI. This just, like, threw everything into turmoil.
Okay, so two kings die.
Two kings died.
Things get messy.
Yeah.
How did that impact France?
Well, the Dauphin, Charles VII, the rightful heir to the French throne, was actually disinherited in favor of Henry VI,
Oh, wow.
who was just a baby.
What?
Yeah, so this plunged France even deeper into turmoil.
Wow.
The English, they had, like, the upper hand militarily, politically.
Right.
The French army was demoralized. People were looking for, like, anything, any hope.
Oh, wow.
And that's where Joan enters the picture, claiming divine guidance.
That's wild.
How do people react to this teenage girl saying she talks to saints?
Right.
It was a mixed bag, for sure.
Yeah.
There was skepticism, of course, but also just desperation. People were yearning for a miracle, someone to rally behind. And Joan, with her, like, unwavering conviction and these bold claims, offered that hope.
Wow, so she's got this, like, divine mission.
Yeah.
But how does a peasant girl get an audience with the Dauphin, Charles VII?
Well, she went to him, of course.
Sure.
So picture this. Joan dressed in men's clothing,
Okay.
which is another story for another time, travels to Chinon. That's where Charles is holding court.
Okay.
She stands before him, this, like, powerful figure,
Yeah.
and declares she's been sent by God to help him reclaim his throne.
That must have been an incredible moment.
It must have been.
What was Charles's reaction?
Like, did he believe her?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't an easy sell. It took some serious, courage and charisma to convince the Dauphin that she wasn't just delusional.
Right.
But somehow Joan managed to persuade him of her divine mission.
Wow.
It's a testament to, like, her conviction and the desperation of the situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
So Charles agrees to let her help.
he does.
What were her first steps in this grand plan to save France?
So Joan, still dressed as a man,
Okay.
sets off to Orléans, this like strategically vital city that's under siege by the English.
Okay.
Her arrival is like this jolt of energy for the French troops.
Wow.
She's carrying her banner with pride, her faith just radiating outward.
Hmm.
And within 9 days, the siege is lifted.
Whoa, that's amazing.
It was a stunning victory.
A teenage girl leading an army to
Yeah.
victory against the English.
Yeah.
Talk about an underdog story.
Talk about an underdog story.
But lifting the siege of Orléans was just the beginning, right?
It was.
Where did it go from there?
This victory, like, marked a turning point in the war.
Okay.
Joan's success at Orléans sparked a series of victories for the French during this thing called the Loire campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to remember, like, these weren't just like lucky breaks. Joan displayed like a real understanding of battlefield tactics.
Oh, wow.
Her leadership, combined with this newfound like vigor in the French army,
Right.
led to like a string of just stunning victories.
I can only imagine the confidence and
Yeah.
momentum
Yeah,
building within the French army with each victory.
absolutely.
Where did these victories lead them?
They headed towards Rheims after the victory at Patay,
Okay.
which seriously weakened the English. The French army was able to march on Rheims.
Okay.
Now, Rheims wasn't just any city.
Oh,
It was the traditional place for French coronations.
I see where you're going.
Yeah.
They marched on Rheims to crown Charles VII,
Yeah.
finally making him the official king.
Exactly. Imagine the scene.
Wow.
Charles VII with Joan by his side,
Right.
crowned King of France in Rheims.
Wow.
It was this powerful symbol of French resilience
Right.
and a major blow to English claims on the throne.
Okay, I have chills.
Me too.
It's amazing to think of like the impact
I know.
that Joan had at such a young age.
Incredible.
She went from a peasant girl hearing voices to a key figure in crowning a king.
Yeah.
Talk about a power move.
Power move, right?
But it's important to note that her victories weren't just symbolic.
Yeah.
They had a really tangible impact on the war, right?
It did.
The English, who had been dominant, were now on the defensive.
Yes.
French morale was soaring.
Absolutely.
The tides seemed to be turning in their favor. Joan, through her leadership and like unwavering belief in her mission, had become like a symbol of French resistance and national pride.
She had.
But as with any good story, there's often a twist.
Yeah.
And in Joan's case, it's a tragic one.
It is a tragic one.
She doesn't just ride off into the sunset a hero.
Sadly, no. So what happens?
Her winning streak wouldn't last forever.
Okay.
You know, her victories were remarkable, but her luck ran out during a battle near Compiègne.
This is the part of the story that always like breaks my heart.
Yeah.
What happened to Joan?
So during this battle, Joan is captured
Oh no.
by Burgundian forces who were allies of the English,
Okay.
and ultimately she's handed over to her enemies.
Oh wow.
It marks the beginning of a very dark chapter in her story.
So now, Joan, this symbol of French resistance is
Right.
a prisoner of the English. What did they do with her?
Well, the English saw her as a major threat, a powerful symbol of French defiance.
Remember, Joan was claiming divine guidance,
Right.
which to them was a direct challenge to their authority and maybe even heresy.
Okay, so how did they deal with this threat?
They put her on trial.
Oh, wow.
Joan was taken to Rouen,
Okay.
where she faces charges of heresy and witchcraft.
Oh, gosh.
Now, we have to understand, this trial was anything but fair.
Right.
It was politically motivated from the start, a way to discredit Joan and break the spirit of the French resistance she embodied.
It's heartbreaking to think about this young woman alone, imprisoned,
It is.
facing such serious charges.
It is.
How did Joan handle the pressure of this trial?
With incredible courage and conviction.
Wow.
Joan was still a teenager,
Yeah.
facing these powerful enemies who just wanted to silence her.
Right.
The pressure was immense,
Yeah.
but she never wavered in her faith or her belief in her mission.
Wow.
She refused to deny her visions, her voices, or her belief that she'd been sent by God to save France.
That's incredible.
It really is a testament to her strength of character.
You know, it's hard to even imagine the mental and emotional toll of that trial.
I can't imagine.
What was the outcome?
Well, the outcome was predetermined, wasn't it?
Right.
The English wanted Joan gone.
Yeah.
And so predictably, she was found guilty.
Oh, my God.
And on May 30th, 1431, at the age of 19, Joan of Arc was burned at the stake in Rouen.
What a tragic end to such an extraordinary life.
It is.
It really makes you wonder what else she could have accomplished
I don't know.
if she'd been given the chance.
It's a tough one to think about.
So, how did Joan's story continue after her death?
Right.
What happened next?
Well, you have to think about it this way. This young woman from a tiny village,
Yeah,
she challenged what a woman could be and do.
it's true.
She defied gender roles. She rallied a demoralized nation and led the French army to these victories
Right.
that ultimately changed the 100 Years' War.
Wow.
I mean, that's not something that just fades away.
Yeah.
Right.
Her impact is undeniable.
Yes.
But her story is also filled with these contradictions.
It is.
She was condemned as a heretic, yet later declared a saint.
Right.
How do we, reconcile those two things?
So it's one of the most fascinating parts of her legacy.
Yeah.
While she was initially condemned as a heretic, just 25 years after she's executed, there's a retrial.
Oh, wow.
And she was totally exonerated of all charges.
So the English basically tried to erase her legacy,
They did.
but it totally backfired.
Big time.
Wow.
And centuries later, in 1920, Joan of Arc was canonized as a saint by the Catholic Church.
Wow. That's incredible.
It's a testament to the enduring power of her story, and how her image has been reclaimed and reinterpreted throughout history.
It's almost like she's become this larger-than-life figure,
She has.
a symbol of something much bigger than herself.
Exactly. That's why her story has resonated across centuries and cultures.
Yeah.
She's depicted in countless works of art, literature, pop culture,
Yeah.
paintings, sculptures, plays, novels, films, you name it.
Wow.
Joan of Arc's everywhere.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen a dozen different portrayals of her in movies and TV shows.
Right.
Why do you think her story is so captivating for artists and storytellers?
I mean, it has everything. You've
Yeah.
got courage, faith, defiance, tragedy, ultimately redemption.
Yeah.
I mean, these are themes that have resonated with people for centuries.
Right.
Plus, Joan's visual image, a young woman in armor
Oh, yeah.
leading an army. I mean,
Powerful.
it's so striking.
Yeah. I can see why artists would be drawn to that.
Totally.
It's a really powerful image of female strength and defiance.
It really is, and that image has been especially potent for various movements throughout history.
Okay.
Think about the suffragettes.
Oh.
They used Joan of Arc as a symbol in their fight for women's right to vote.
Right.
Her image represented their struggle for equality
Right.
and recognition.
It's incredible how her image has been used to empower
I know.
different groups and causes throughout history.
It's amazing.
Yeah, but beyond specific movements, Joan's story continues to inspire individuals
Totally.
all over the world today.
Mm-hmm.
She's become a symbol of individual conviction.
Yeah.
This testament to the idea that one person,
Mm-hmm.
even against impossible odds, can make a difference.
Absolutely.
And that's such an important message,
It is,
especially for young people
especially for young people.
who are often told they can't change things.
Right.
Joan's story proves that even teenagers can make a difference
And it can.
in the world.
Absolutely.
That's so cool.
Yeah, but while Joan's story is incredibly inspiring, it's also important to separate fact from fiction,
Yeah.
like many historical figures. Joan's story has been romanticized and embellished over time.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what are some of the common misconceptions that people have about Joan of Arc?
One of the biggest ones is that Joan was totally uneducated.
Oh, okay.
While she did come from a peasant family,
Right.
she actually received a decent education for the time, especially in religious matters.
Okay.
She was literate and knew scripture. Oh, wow.
Which was unusual for a woman of her social standing.
So she wasn't just blindly following orders from her visions.
Right.
She had a real understanding of her faith on
Absolutely.
the religious context of her time.
Yeah, she was a complex individual,
Okay.
capable of independent thought and action.
Wow.
Another misconception is that she was this brilliant military strategist,
Oh, okay.
single-handedly winning battles through tactical genius.
Right.
Now, while she was a charismatic leader who inspired her troops,
Mm-hmm.
her military successes were probably a combination of factors.
Okay.
Yeah,
So she wasn't necessarily a military mastermind,
right.
but her leadership, combined with the expertise of other commanders,
Yeah,
contributed to those victories.
exactly. Her presence undoubtedly boosted morale,
Mm.
and she had this intuitive grasp of battlefield tactics.
Right.
But she also benefited from experienced commanders
Right.
who supported her and helped execute her plans.
Okay, cool.
It was a team effort.
It's really cool.
That her story is even more interesting
Yeah.
when you consider it wasn't just her.
Totally.
It was a team effort.
Right.
But speaking of controversies,
Uh-oh.
her trial has been the subject of so much debate over the years.
It has.
Was it a fair trial?
Good question.
Were the charges against her even legitimate?
These are questions that historians are still debating.
Right.
But what we know is that it's clear that the trial was rigged from the start.
Okay.
The English were determined to discredit her, break her image as this divinely guided figure no matter what.
Wow.
They denied her basic rights that defendants would normally have in similar trials.
So they basically made up the rules as they went along.
Pretty much.
Just to make sure she got a guilty verdict.
Pretty much.
That's messed up.
It's really messed up. The charges of heresy and witchcraft were flimsy at best.
Right.
And the evidence against her was weak. The whole process was politically motivated, designed to eliminate a threat and break the French resistance.
It's a very dark chapter in her story.
It is.
But before we move on to her lasting legacy,
okay,
I think we need to address the elephant in the room,
all right,
the voices and visions.
A big one.
What do we really know about?
So that's like a key element of Joan's story, right?
Yeah.
And it's something that continues to fascinate people even today.
Right.
What we know is that Joan claimed to hear the voices of the Archangel Michael and Saints Margaret and Catherine.
Okay.
She described them so vividly.
Wow.
Their appearance, their messages, their guidance.
Yeah.
She truly believed they were sent by God.
It's incredible.
And that belief never wavered, even when she was imprisoned and facing death.
Wow.
That unwavering conviction is just remarkable.
Right.
It's hard to dismiss it as simply delusion or fabrication.
Yeah.
There was something genuinely powerful about her belief in those visions and voices.
Right, but of course there have been attempts to explain those visions from a more scientific or psychological perspective, right?
Right. Of course, over the years, there's been so many theories.
Yeah.
Epilepsy, schizophrenia, even a condition called temporal lobe seizures.
Wow.
But none of them have been conclusively proven.
Okay.
And I think that's part of what makes her story so enduring.
Yeah.
It challenges us to consider the unknown, the unexplained.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
It leaves room for interpretation, for personal reflection on the nature of faith, belief, and what drives people to do extraordinary things.
Absolutely. It's a story that invites us to ask questions, grapple with complexity, and find our own meaning in it.
That's awesome.
It is.
But now I think it's time that we delve into Joan's lasting legacy.
Okay.
And how her story continues to resonate in the modern world.
I'm ready.
Okay, we've talked about her military achievements and the dramatic turns of her life.
Yeah.
But what about Joan's lasting impact?
Okay.
What makes her relevant today, centuries after she lived?
So Joan's story has resonated across time for several reasons.
It speaks to a lot of human experiences that offer something for everyone.
Yeah.
For many, she embodies the power of individual courage and conviction.
Yeah, for sure.
She's a reminder that one person, even against overwhelming odds, can make a difference.
That is such an important message.
It is.
Especially in a world where we often feel so powerless.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really powerful.
So powerful. And that message has resonated with various groups and movements throughout history.
Throughout history.
But maybe one of the most significant aspects of her legacy is her role as a symbol for feminism.
Yes.
You're right. She defied the gender roles of her time.
She did.
Demonstrated incredible leadership in a world dominated by men.
She did. She challenged what a woman could be and do. Her story has empowered women throughout history.
That's amazing.
Reminding them that they too can achieve great things, break down barriers, and challenge the status quo.
And that's something we still fight for today.
We do. That's so cool. But Joan's story also holds deep religious significance, right?
It does.
I mean, she is a saint.
Yeah, that's right. For Catholics, Joan of Arc is a powerful symbol of faith, piety, and divine inspiration. Her story reminds us of the importance of following one's calling, even when it's dangerous.
It's amazing how one person can embody so many different things to different people.
Yeah.
A military hero, a feminist icon, a religious figure. It's a testament to the enduring power and complexity of her story.
It is, and that's why her story keeps being told and retold in so many different ways.
Right.
But it's important to remember that Joan's legacy hasn't been without its controversy.
Right.
Her story has been appropriated and reinterpreted by various political and ideological groups.
Yeah.
Each trying to claim her as a symbol for their own cause.
So it's like everyone wants a piece of Joan of Arc.
Yeah, pretty much.
To use her story to legitimize their own beliefs or agendas.
Right.
That's a good point.
It's something to be aware of when looking at how her story has been used throughout history.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a reminder to be critical of the narratives we're presented with and try to seek a deeper understanding of historical figures and events.
Yeah, you're right. We can't just take things at face value.
No.
But controversies aside, Joan of Arc's story continues to resonate with people all over the world.
It does.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because at its core, Joan's story is about something that's fundamental to the human experience.
Okay.
It's about courage in the face of adversity, faith in the face of doubt, and the potential for one person, even someone seemingly insignificant, to make a profound impact on the world.
It's a reminder that even the most ordinary person can achieve extraordinary things.
Absolutely.
And that's a message that resonates across time and cultures.
It really does.
But we got to be honest. There are parts of her story that are really hard to understand from a modern perspective. Like, take her cross-dressing, for instance. It was a key point in her condemnation, but it's also something that's been reinterpreted in various ways over the centuries.
It has.
It was like a huge deal in Joan's time, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, cross-dressing was considered a serious offense, a violation of social and religious norms.
Absolutely. It was seen as a challenge to the established order.
Right.
A sign of potential heresy.
Wow, it's almost unimaginable today.
Yeah.
The intensity of the reaction to something that, for many, seems like a personal choice.
I know.
But Joan insisted that she was following God's instructions in wearing men's clothing.
Yeah.
She claimed it was for her safety and the success of her mission.
Right, and that's where the modern interpretations get interesting.
Yeah.
Some people see her cross-dressing as like a powerful act of defiance.
Okay.
A proto-feminist statement.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Joan's actions can be seen as challenging traditional gender roles.
Right.
Rejecting the limitations imposed on women in her time.
Yeah.
But we always have to remember that Joan lived in a very different time with different social norms and expectations.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
It's so important to avoid imposing modern interpretations on historical figures.
Yeah.
Without understanding the context they lived in.
Totally.
But even with that in mind,
it's
fascinating to see how Joan's story has been embraced of different groups over the centuries.
It's amazing.
For some members of the LGBTQ+ community, Joan is seen as a symbol of gender nonconformity, even like a patron saint of transgender individuals.
Yeah.
It's incredible how one historical figure can have such diverse and layered interpretations.
It is.
Yeah, and that complexity is reflected in many aspects of her story, right?
It is.
Like, take her military leadership, for example. Joan was operating in a world dominated by men, a world where women were expected to be submissive and silent. And yet, she managed to rise to a position of extraordinary power and influence.
She did.
And she did it all before the age of 20.
I know.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, and I'm sure she faced resistance, like, at every step of the way.
I bet.
Absolutely. A lot of people, both men and women, doubted her claims of divine inspiration.
Right.
They saw her as a threat to the established order.
Right.
This dangerous radical who was, like, disrupting the power dynamics of the time.
It's wild.
It's wild.
But she persevered.
She did.
It makes you wonder where she got that strength and determination from.
It really does.
I don't know.
Well, her faith was definitely a source of strength.
Yeah.
But it's also important to acknowledge that Joan's success was due in part to the support of some key individuals who believed in her and helped her achieve her goals.
That's awesome.
Right.
It's a reminder that even extraordinary people
need support and allies to achieve great things.
Yeah.
You don't succeed alone.
You don't.
But shifting gears a bit, let's talk about Joan's lasting impact on French culture and identity.
Right.
She's like a national heroine in France, isn't she?
She is.
I feel like I've seen her image everywhere.
Yeah.
Statues, paintings, even on money.
It's true. Joan of Arc is deeply, embedded in French culture and national identity.
Wow.
She's a symbol of courage, patriotism, religious devotion.
Yeah.
Her image is all over the country, monuments, artwork. They even put her on their money.
Wow. It's like she's woven into the fabric of French history.
Exactly. She's celebrated in festivals, commemorations. Her story is taught in schools.
Wow.
Even centuries after she died, Joan of Arc continues to inspire and unite the French people.
That's amazing, but as we discussed earlier, her legacy hasn't always been so straightforward, right?
Yeah.
Her story has been used for both noble and less than noble purposes. Unfortunately, that's true. There have been times when Joan of Arc's image has been appropriated for political gain,
Right.
used to promote ideologies that she might not have supported.
So it's like everyone wants a piece of Joan of Arc
Yeah.
to use her story to legitimize
Right.
their own beliefs or agendas.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
That's a good point.
And it's really important to be aware of that when looking at how her story has been used throughout history.
Yeah.
It's a reminder to be critical of the narratives we're presented with and to seek a deeper understanding of historical figures and events.
You're right. We can't just take things at face value.
Nope.
But controversies aside,
Yeah,
Joan of Arc's story continues to fascinate and inspire people all over the world.
it does.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because at its core, Joan's story is a story about the power of the human spirit to overcome adversity.
Okay.
It's a story about courage in the face of doubt, faith in the face of fear, and the potential for one person,
Right.
even someone seemingly insignificant,
Yeah.
to make a profound impact on the world.
That's beautiful.
It is.
It's a reminder that we all have the potential for greatness within us.
We do.
And that's a really powerful
Yeah.
and inspiring message.
A timeless message
Awesome.
that resonates across cultures and generations.
That's amazing.
Joan's story reminds us that we all have the capacity for courage, that we can all make a difference,
Yeah.
and that even in the darkest of times,
Yeah.
hope and resilience can prevail.
What a powerful and inspiring message to end on.
Yeah,
Joan of Arc's story is a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit
it is.
and the power of belief to change the course of history.
It really is. And I
Yeah.
think we can all learn something from her story, regardless of our background or beliefs.
For sure.
Joan's legacy continues to inspire us to be courageous,
Right.
to stand up for what we believe in, and to strive for a better world. Yeah.
Yeah, it has been an incredible journey exploring the life and legacy of this remarkable woman.
It has.
I feel like I've learned so much.
Yeah.
I'm definitely feeling inspired.
Me too. Joan of Arc's story really does have something to offer everyone,
It-
regardless of their background or their beliefs.
That's so true.
It's a story about courage, faith, determination, and the power of the human spirit to overcome adversity.
Yeah, and on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into Joan of Arc.
Okay.
We've covered so much ground,
We have.
but there's always more to learn and explore.
Oh, for sure. We encourage you to keep exploring Joan of Arc's story. There are tons of books, articles, documentaries,
Yeah.
and new discoveries and interpretations are always emerging.
It's amazing.
It's a story that continues to unfold and reveal new layers of meaning over time.
That's so cool. And as always,
Yeah.
we'd love to hear your thoughts. What resonated most with you about Joan of Arc's story? What questions do you still have? Share your thoughts in the comments below.
Let's keep the conversation going.
Yeah, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Sassy Scoop TV
Please do.
for more deep dives into fascinating topics
Yeah.
from history, culture,
And beyond.
and beyond. We'll be back soon with another episode.
We will.
So stay tuned.